Thought-provoking V2. This is a super safe and effective natural anabolic. Not only is this product going to help you increase protein synthesis, which basically means muscle recovery and growth, it also may inhibit myostatin, which is a protein in your body that is known to inhibit muscle growth. This is a complete natural anabolic that works through multiple different pathways, has multiple trademarked ingredients. If you are a natural athlete looking for that edge, Corbolic V2 is what you need. Get yourself some.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Pro Physique Code. And today we're going to talk about, are they giving out too many damn pro cards?
Yes, I think this is a good topic to hit on, kind of controversial, but I think it's a good one to talk about because I've heard many people, not just coaches, but I've heard athletes kind of bring this up this year too.
And it's something I've absolutely changed my outlook on over the last few years too.
It's always been my favorite part of the sport. Listen, I don't mean to say that like having Daraja in the final call out to the Olympia wasn't the absolute highlight of my career, but my favorite thing is winning an overall at an NPC show, because there's nothing cooler than being the last competitor standing at a show, the last coach standing at a show. It's a cool moment for your athlete, for you. It's so fun. And yeah, getting a pro card is cool and all, but you can win the overall at an NPC show and you're the last person there. You're the only girl that wins it. You can go to Universe and you can be one of 30 bikini girls to get a pro card. And I believe I counted how many fit model? Was it 18? No, that can't be right. Fit model pro cards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they give out 12 fit model and 30 bikini pro cards at one show. So that's 42 girls that turn pro in one day. So great. That's awesome for them. They get to post their, but when you go to an NPC show like the Republic of Texas and my girl Valerie wins the overall, that's something she'll never forget. Like she was so excited about that. Her home state, the big show in her area. That's a cool thing.
Mm-hmm. And one of those fit model girls won 3 pro cards at Universe.
Oh yeah. The girl that won the overall in like the 40 or 35, she won a bunch of them, right?
35, she won the 40, and then she won her open class, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I saw a lot of debates in the comments being like, well, if she won one pro card, they should give it to the next person. I'm like, no, they absolutely should not do that.
They used to do that. So fun fact, my first ever pro card was a 3rd place. So I had a girl, I think she was in open bikini, and she got 3rd in open, but the girls that beat her were both in the 35 and they were pros already. So they pass it down. They don't do that anymore. That was like 2014. I think that happened to me. And it was before pro cards weren't even on my radar then. She like messaged me, "Hey coach, I got my IFBB pro card." I was like, "Cool, whatever." Like it wasn't, you know. But yeah, and so let's talk a little bit about it, because I actually, you guys know me, I love my statistics.
Yes, you love your numbers, and yeah, I want to hear the numbers, and I have to give a shout out to my client who did get her fit model pro card at Masters National past weekend, because honestly, I like sharing her story because I posted her the other day and I got, people responding. They're like, wow, she just started competing and she's 45. No, yeah, she's not 46 yet. I think she's just 45. She just started competing this year. And this was her 4th show. But that just goes to show we've said it before, but you're never too old to start competing. But yeah, it was cool to see that she got that. She's worked really hard. And we actually started at the first show we did this year was bikini, because that's kind of when she started with me last year. Obviously, fit model wasn't a thing, so we were training for bikini, and she did well, at her first bikini show. I think she got 1st in her master's class, but we knew she needed just more size overall. So we made the switch to fit model, and like it was the perfect decision.
And my guess is, Lexi, even though it was her first year competing, she is not new to training, I'm assuming.
No, and if you know her, she is like one of the most like consistent, precise people. Like
Yeah.
I've even talked to her husband and he's always like, she's a good kind of crazy, but she's crazy just in terms of like, she just gets things done. Like she's not one of those people that makes excuses or who's like, oh yeah, I went out of town this week. Oh, it was hard for me to pack food. Like she just gets it done. She gets it done.
Yeah.
She's so damn precise. And I mean, we had her eating, oh gosh, she was eating a lot of food going into Masters Nationals too, like not just in peak week, but for the past couple of months. Ever since we did her first bikini show, we've been able to keep her food really high and just kind of maintain going into these fit model shows. But yeah, she didn't come to me as like a complete newbie in the gym.
Yeah. And that's what I like to get across, because it's like, oh, she won it after 4 shows. Yeah, but she's been training for years. Like, this is not something she just hadn't competed.
Yeah, and she worked with me for about a year
Yeah,
before we competed, and I think we all can agree like that is something we love as coaches to get athletes,
absolutely.
well before we start a prep. Generally, we can set them up to be in a much more favorable position when they start prep compared to somebody we're just getting right at the beginning of a prep.
Absolutely.
There's no better phone call than to be on a call with someone who's in the middle of prep. It's not going well. And they're like, you know what? I want to compete this time next year. I'm like, dude, by this time next year, you will be dominating if you let me do it. We can get you on stage now. It's going to be a struggle. But if we can take our time and focus on training, dieting, and the mental side of the sport and just getting everything in order so that when we start prep, your metabolism's great, your food relationships are great, your personal relationships are great. It's going to be a just much better experience. So
Yeah.
there's no better. So, well, congrats, Lexi. That is your first IFBB Pro card.
Yes, thank you. I'm
Yes.
excited.
Congratulations, Lexi.
Thank you.
That is fun. We do want to give a shout out to one of the coaches for Pro Physique, who also got his pro card this weekend, John Hansen, who, oddly enough, a few people asked me, why did it take him so long to get his IFBB pro card? I thought he's been competing for years. Well, John's never competed for a pro card in the IFBB. He's always competed in natural organizations. So like he's won Mr. Natural Olympia a couple times, like in the 80s and 90s. He started lifting when he was 14 and he's 62. And I mean, you want to talk about the fountain of youth. I'm jealous of his hair because at 62, that guy just looks fantastic. Like,
It was great.
yeah.
He does. He does. And honestly, John is just somebody, I think he's a great example of somebody who just truly like, he competes because he loves training and he loves living this
Yep.
lifestyle. Like he
Oh,
doesn't.
he didn't. He
for the title.
competing. He wasn't even going to compete last year, Lexi. When he met up with me, we just were training in the gym, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm getting ready for a photo shoot." And he's like, "Would you help me just like look good for my photo shoot?" And I said, "Yeah, let's like hit some poses." And I said, "Well, why don't we do an NPC show? Like you could do the photo shoot, and then he's friends with Mel Chansey, who has that big show at the end of the year,
Yeah.
Classic." So we went down there and did that, and then it got me because I don't coach a lot of bodybuilders, so I don't keep up with that side of the sport. It got me thinking, like, let me look up what the guys look like at over 60 bodybuilding. And don't get me wrong, they look incredible. But
Sure.
John's very complete. And I said, John, like, you don't know who's going to show up, but I think you could be competitive at the national level for a pro card. And literally, I could just see his like brain working. Like, whoa, I never thought about getting an IFBB pro card. So, because there's a lot of guys of his generation. So for those that don't know the history of bodybuilding, they used to give out one pro card a year. And you
One.
know who used to win like the overall at nationals? Lee Haney, Jay Cutler. Like those guys you used to announce your presence in the bodybuilding world by winning the overall at nationals, and then you would make your pro debut at like the Night of Champions in New York or something.
Yep.
Now, I don't even know how many. Bodybuilding still doesn't give out that many pro cards. It's not as many as the other divisions, but it's definitely like multiple. Now you can win it at like smaller shows. But yeah, so it's cool to see John get his pro card, and just that's the most emotional I've ever seen him. So those that don't know, he did Universe, and I was there, and after prejudging, I did something I don't normally do. I said, you won your class. Like it's not close, right? I was looking at the other guy. The other guy had a decent amount of muscle. He was not good at posing. His stomach was distended. He didn't have good balance, right? He had a good like musculature, but John was just very complete. And I said, what we got to worry about, because at that show to win your pro card, you had to win the overall. So we got to worry about the guy in the lightweight class. He's the better bodybuilder than the guy in your class. Well, John messages me after prejudging, and he's like, or at finals, because I had to go back. He's like, dude, I got second. And I was like, man, I apologize. I never do that. And I said, you know, what was your feedback? He said the feedback was the guy had a little bit more muscle, but it was close. And I said, okay, whatever. And I thought he was going to be done, as is often the case. You know, like, okay, he did his show. You know, it's not his whole life, you know. And then, you know, like a day or two later, he's like, what do you think about Masters Nationals? And I said, let's do it. And he hadn't even gained any weight. Like we had actually filled him out with like 400 carbs the day before the show, and he dropped weight the week after. So he was in a great spot. So it's cool to get second in your class at a much smaller show. Universe only had like, I think he had like 6 guys in his class,
Yeah.
and there was only 2 classes. He went to Masters Nationals. There was 4 classes. They had lightweight, middleweight, light heavies, and heavyweights. So you had to win your class, get to the overall, and then place top 2 in the overall. Well, when the overall happens, they do their quarter turns. They immediately move him out. And I was watching the live stream, and I was like, crap. But I kept thinking, like, God, he looks really good. But you know, you're not there in person. So they announced the other guy for the pro card first, the second place, and then they call him as the overall champion. And he, like, for John, he erupted. He like bent over and like clapped his hands, and I was like, oh, I've never seen him that emotional. Uh,
Oh,
so it's always cool. It reminded me of when Lauren Dannemiller won the overall at nationals, when she was so upset when she got third at a national show and missed her pro card by a spot. And you know, I would always say to her, like, imagine if you had gotten second and gotten your pro card. Instead, you win an overall at the biggest national show. So sometimes that second, third, fourth place is a blessing.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
yeah. I always think about that too, and totally different, like maybe realm of things. But I don't know if you guys followed like last or this past weekend, Kate Carroll won Chicago.
Yeah.
And I
Huge.
talked to her. I was DMing her after Republic of Texas because, for those of you that don't know, she qualified for the Olympia last year by beating Ashley Kay at a show, which was huge, right? And then she came to Republic of Texas this year. And, you know, if you've beaten Ashley Kay, you're probably going to be a front runner most of the time, right? And she, I don't even think she thinks she got like 15th at Republic. Then, literally a week later, Chicago got first and got her Olympia qualification. Like, it's really cool to see those things happen. But you know, you can kind of compare that to Lauren's situation too, of being upset, you know, at one show.
Listen,
Then,
that is pro bikini in a nutshell. Like if
oh,
you're not mentally strong enough to go 15th and do another show, then you are not ready for pro bikini, because that is how that division goes. I've literally had a girl go from third to eighth back to first. Like, and it can be gut wrenching. But I looked at the pictures because when I saw her as the winner, I was like, I gotta see. They made an incredible adjustment. And I know she travels from New Zealand to compete. So I'm just guessing at Republic, like they either didn't fill out right, because there's no way she got leaner in a week. So something drastically changed. She looked incredible at Chicago.
she did. Yeah, she looked incredible. Yeah, I can only assume. I'm sure I could ask her, but like I can only assume. I mean, yeah, being from New Zealand, coming all the way from there to the States, like, you know, and this was Republic was her first show that she has done since the Olympia. So sometimes I think it's that first show, and then coupling that with that extensive travel. I mean, I can imagine that took a toll on her body. So yeah, congrats to her.
Yeah, I actually, because I've chatted with, I think it's her husband or her boyfriend that's her coach.
Her husband Frank, yeah.
Yeah, so I've chatted with him backstage before. Super nice guy. I hope to see him again. Maybe he'll be at Tampa. I don't know if they're doing Tampa or something, but I'd like to just be like, what did you do? Because I love learning from other coaches when I see stuff like that. Like, and it's
Yeah.
almost always the same thing. Oh, we just had to feed her much more. You know, it's hard that first show.
Isn't that, yeah, it's
Mhm.
crazy? I mean, I think that there's always this weird epiphany that happens after like you do your first show of the season where it's like, I don't know what it is, but I just feel like everybody always looks better after their first show most of the time.
Of course.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about some numbers, because I think we've had 2 shows now with Fit Model at a Masters National show. We've also had a couple at the regular national schedule. Now, for those that aren't aware, Junior Nationals, which was Sandy Williamson's promotion, the one in Chattanooga, their bikini numbers went from last year 124 down to 84. But they also added the fit model division and had a really good turnout. Let me pull that statistic up. Where did I pull that sheet out of? It's in my documents folder. It was an exact match. They had 40 something in fit model at junior nationals. So that was that told me like, okay, if they didn't have the fit model division, maybe bikini would have been the same, but it was that first initial shift. Um, yeah, that's what it was. So they lost 40 competitors from bikini at junior nationals, gained 40 in fit model. So as far as the promoter goes, that's a wash. They're the same, which most of them are probably going to be happy with. Check this out. So Universe, the first show with Masters. However, for those that aren't aware, Universe only has 35, 40, 50, and 60. And they didn't do 60 for fit metal. I don't even think they did 50. They only did 35 and 40 in open.
I think they had 35 and 40. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't do 50 yet there. Masters Nationals, which I'll get to in a second, they do 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. They do every 5 years. So this year, um, I'm just going to do total. So it includes the crossover. So if a girl does Masters 35 and open, she'll count as two, but I don't care. In 2023, they had 439 total in bikini. This year, 374. So you're looking at what, 40, 26, you're looking at 65 girls less. How many did they have in fit model this year at Universe? 114. Again, with crossovers. And so a similar trend at Masters Nationals, 438 in 2023 total in bikini. Now that show they don't even have open. So that's an incredible number, but they also have the every 5 years. The highlight was Masters 40 had 110 by itself. Yeah. Oh, and just to add on top of that, open bikini at Universe 2023, I had Maria Nemeth win her pro card there. 182 total. This year, 137. So now that's a almost 50-person drop off in 2 years.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm really curious to see what these numbers like fit model versus bikini, what they look like next year, because I feel like a lot, like I can confidently say I've been in this boat, and I think a lot of people are in the same realm where it was like at the beginning of the year, I don't want to sit here and say like I disliked fit model. Like that was not the case, but I think like how I looked at fit model earlier this year in terms of the physique has definitely evolved. I feel like now, like at the beginning of the year, I kind of looked at it in a different realm. And I think that was just because the shows were smaller. There wasn't as much,
Yeah.
we weren't seeing as much. And now I'm like, wow, okay, the physique is a lot more appealing. And I think that that's been the case for a lot more girls too. As they're seeing more and more of these girls like turn pro and fit model, they're like, wow, I really like that look. So I feel like next year the fit model numbers are only going to continue to rise just because people are going to start to see more people turning pro in fit model. Not only that, I think there's going to be more fit model pros that are documenting their journeys and sharing it. And I think it's just going to be more of an appealing division. So I feel like those numbers are that's just my speculation, those numbers are going to go up next year.
What do you think, Evan? Think it'll climb, or you think it's people are getting pissed off?
I think it's going to continue to climb. As far as talking about fit model numbers with it, I think it's going to continue to climb.
Yeah.
I think the physiques are improving. I think that it's a much more impressive look. I think a lot of girls initially didn't like the look. To be honest, I didn't either. But I think now it is becoming more what we figured it would become, right? Which is like kind of like you said, Paul, like bikini years ago. And if you got to think about it, like when they pull up like Ashley Coldwalter is their perfect fit model girl. She has a lot of muscle. She has glute ham. She's just not dry and hard, right?
Right.
And that's I think the big difference between it all is it's just not leaned down to the point that you see separation a lot of places. You don't see that dryness and that hardness that's there. And I really like the look. I do. I like that they're allowing a little bit smaller bikini in the back and they're rewarding that. I think that's a really good way to go. I think the bikinis are looking better. I think the whole division is evolving. And I think it's evolving quite quickly. And we talked about it before, right? Each year, it starts off a little softer and typically grows a little bit harder. And so this is not out of the realm. We didn't know what to expect with this because it's our first foray into this. And I can tell you, the moment they start introducing pros into this, which will be next year, it will continue to evolve. But again, it is not high level bikini. There are a lot of bikini girls that easily would slide into fit model. But for the standard of bikini of what they're rewarding at a high national level or the pro level, this is not that. This is not that. So people that confuse the two, and I have a lot of people that say, it's that girl's bikini. I'm like, no, she's not. She could do a show in bikini just like anyone could do. I could do an open bodybuilding show if I want to, but it doesn't mean I fit the criteria right for it,
Absolutely.
right? Um,
Absolutely.
and again, I've had a lot of girls reach out and they're like, I understand what you're saying about fit model because I'm trying to push some girls to go that direction because I think they'd be successful at it. And they're like, but I just don't want to feel like I'm going backwards. I'm like, you're not going backwards. You aren't
Sure.
where it needs to be for bikini yet. You are not there. But this division, you are there, right? This is a division that better fits where you are right now. And honestly, it's where it top level bikini is tough, guys.
It is.
It's
And
tough.
the way I look at it too is like just because you're doing, an athlete may have intended to do bikini, or maybe they have done bikini and they're going to fit model, like it's not working backward because here's the thing, you can always, especially if you are somebody that lives this lifestyle religiously and you have no intention on stopping living the lifestyle, there may come a point 5, 6 years from now where you do outgrow fit model and you do naturally go into bikini, right? Like there's always that option
Yeah.
too. But yeah, I see fit model blowing up a lot more next year as we get more of these like pros that are sharing their journey that like you can kind of look up to for the division. I just feel like that's going to be a big thing, especially, just females in general like to be able to look up to others. So I feel like that's really going to draw those numbers up too.
The way I've described bikini to, or fit model to a lot of people is, and this is just the truth of it. It's it's bikini without all the anabolic look along with it.
Yeah.
That's how I typically describe it. I think it's, can you be too lean for fit model? Absolutely. I had a girl compete last week. Her weight got away from us a little bit. She was too lean in the back, which means she flattened out in her glutes. And when she flattened out in her glutes, it would have been good for bikini, at least from that standpoint. She probably would have placed a little better there because her conditioning was there. But for fit model, no, it ended up hurting her a little bit in that. I fully believe that. Well, her feedback was her glutes were small, but her glutes were small because she was ultra flat in there and she was too hard. So, there definitely is a difference along with those lines with it. It's just the body fat at a point to where you are lean. You're lean, but you are not peeled.
Yeah, I think so. The feedback that I'm getting now regularly is just coming a little bit leaner. Um, I mean, I think initially they talked about not seeing tie-ins, and I think
Mhm.
that was misrepresented.
Yeah.
You almost now have to have visible tie-ins. However, not to the level that you would have in like a pro bikini class where they're like clear and hard. It's more like there can't be anything moving back there. And most girls, if you have a lot of muscle and pretty low body fat, the tie-in is more like just the shape of the muscle coming into the body.
Yeah.
Whereas we used to see girls get over dieted where they didn't even have enough muscle just to see a tie-in. They would diet, and then be like this stringy version. But from the back, they'd have pointy tie-ins, and then, oh, I have my tie-ins. Yeah, but now the judges want to see the projection of the glutes. Um, and so Nadia Blackburn, my client that turned pro this weekend at Masters, she was in the 35 in her class was the overall winner from the 35 and the over no, I'm sorry, from the 40 and the overall winner from the 45. So that's who she beat to turn pro. And what was separated her? Glute size, shoulder size, and core detail. Both those girls looked amazing, but Nadia just had a little bit more. So she actually, I thought she was going to win the overall. They put her in the middle of the overall, but she didn't get it. But absolutely, you've got to have that projection on those glutes. Her tie-ins were just starting to come in. So yeah, it seems like as this division is progressing, if you've ever been to a show, your eye goes to the leaner person. If there's two people on stage, so it's like I always tell girls, it's better to be a little bit overly conditioned and then we can fill out a little bit than to be like right on the line and you got to be careful.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's all about too, as an athlete, being realistic, like with with your physique and with your potential, right? Like I think there's a lot of bikini girls, and I guess I could kind of say I'm one of them, like where you can do well at a regional level, but realistically, you can go to nationals and you're going to be way too small, right? So I think people have to, if they want to stay in bikini, they have to just realize that in some cases, like, do I want to stay in bikini and be okay with being that smaller bikini girl, or maybe not placing as well? Or do like if placing is important to you and you want to have a chance at doing well at nationals, maybe open your horizons a little bit and potentially endeavor fit model.
Well, let's
Yeah,
talk
and
about
look,
pro cards in bikini because I think this is another direction the sport can change, and it might potentially push more people to do the fit model division if they did this one thing. Get rid of any show that has a second place pro card, and also get rid of any show that doesn't meet a minimum requirements for class winners to turn pro. So, like at junior nationals, every class winner turned pro. And my memory doesn't serve me perfectly today, but I believe there was multiple classes that had 10 or less because there was only 84. So if there's only 84 and there's 8 classes, A through H, the average is like less than 11. So there was probably a class or two at junior nationals that had like 6 or 7 or 8.
Mhm.
That show, in my opinion, and listen, I love getting pro cards as much as anybody out there. It should have been top 2 in the overall, top 3 in the overall,
mhm.
not every class winner. Because now you're taking all those class winners and you're telling them, okay, you're good enough to be a pro, season's over. Whereas if they just got better, those girls might go on to win the overall at nationals in December
Yeah.
or next year win an overall at a national show. Um, so instead of giving out like 30 pro cards at Universe, maybe they're giving out like 10 or 12, right? And you're keeping those other 20 girls in the circuit. I think it's just a better sport. Yeah, that's what I would love to see.
I would love to see that, and I hope they keep it kind of the route it's going right now with only having like 4 classes in the open as far as height is concerned, just like they do in classic physique. They have A, B, C, and D, right?
Yeah.
It puts more competitive classes together, and we've talked about this a lot, right? Because if I have a girl competing in a few weeks and has opportunity to win probably the true novice, the novice, and her open class. But I had the discussion with the other day. I said, you could very well easily win your open class and not win your true novice and novice class because there's 6 classes in your open class and there's 2 for novice and true novice. You're going to have 15, 20 girls in that novice and true novice class of all different heights because there's 2 classes. It's much more competitive. It's better numbers. And let's be honest, guys, nobody likes to go out in a class with like 6 people. Nobody does.
That's
I'd
yeah.
much rather be in a class with 10, 15, 20 people.
Yeah, that's what I always think about. I think in theory, some people think, oh my God, more pro cards, better opportunity for me to win my pro card. But like, let's be honest, it diminishes the quality and the value of it, right? Because
Yes.
I think, and I've had this discussion with so many athletes recently about like picking like first time athletes, even picking like their regional shows, right? Or maybe not first time athletes, but like when it comes to picking their regional shows, we'll go through different show options and I'll tell them like, hey, okay, just FYI, we can do this show, but it is notoriously a smaller show. And just FYI, you potentially could be the only one in your class, right? And most athletes, they'll tell me, I do not want that, Lexi. Like, I do not want to be competing against myself. I want there to be at least a few other people for me to go up against, right? Because it's like, what's the value in going up again? I mean, maybe there is to some people, but like, if you're competitive, you don't want to just go up against yourself or one other person or 2 other people, even at a regional level, right? It just doesn't make the win as victorious or, just doesn't feel the same.
I've looked at this 2 kind of ways too, because you have certain people that if you take away the amount of pro cards, then they'll say if they keep getting second, they keep getting third, and they would have got a pro card before in that position. They get frustrated and say, screw this, I just don't want to do this anymore. Well, what's the difference? Because if that person was to win their pro card, they're probably going to stop competing anyways at that point. So it really doesn't change a lot in that long run. If you're going to stop competing because it's harder to get a pro card, then let's be honest, you're not going to be good enough to place well in a pro show. You're going to go get 16th place. It's going to be a gut shot for you, and you're probably not going to end up competing anyways along with that. So I don't think it's actually going to change the numbers of actual NPC competitors almost at all along with that. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think it'll increase the number of NPC competitors.
Yeah.
I think the problem is for a few years now, the bikini division has been shrinking. They have not changed the amount of pro cards they're giving out. And so you're just decreasing the number of competitors in the NPC division, and you're decreasing the requirements of what it means for competitiveness at a big regional show and at a national show. Like there used to be this pecking order where like before you would even go to nationals, you wanted to win an overall, and that was a challenge. And then now I've seen girls go from true novice to pro in 1 2 shows,
Mhm.
and it's obviously there's talent out there, but I don't think it should be that. I think that keeps the NPC small, and it's one of the reasons. Like Lexi, you and I coach a lot of people in natural organizations. Evan, you as well. You have a couple, and so what happens with a good athlete in one of these smaller natural organizations? They get bored because they go pro in their first show, they go to worlds their second show, and they place. And I've had a girl multiple times win the overall at a world championship at their first or second try. They're done with it. Okay, cool. What's next? The NPC, what's made it great for years is the layering. There's so many layers. And honestly, like right now, like pro card does not mean what it used to mean. Now it's like Olympia qualified is almost like a pro card.
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
did you
Pretty
get your
much.
Olympia qualification? That's that thing. And then there's layers to going to the Olympia, like obviously getting into that first call out. That's first call out at the Olympia is the highest honor in the sport, right?
Ah.
But getting a pro card is, I mean, what are they giving out? A couple hundred pro cards a year per division.
Yeah.
It's just not the same, doesn't have the same panache.
And I feel like it widens the gap too between like winning a pro card and I'm not saying this applies to every athlete, but it kind of widens the gap between pro card winners and competitive pros, right? Because I feel like
Mhm.
we used to
Oh,
see
for
a lot
sure.
of people that would win their pro card could honestly go step on a pro stage that, that next week and do really, really well. And of course, we still see that with some athletes, right? But the issue is with handing out too many pro cards. Let's say it's a small national show, they're handing out a lot of pro cards. There's going to be somebody that wins a pro card, and then that same person is going to, maybe go try to compete at the pro level and be last call outs and then feel discouraged. And then maybe they have that thought of like, oh, well, I'm not cut out for the sport anymore. And then it's like we lose competitors in the sport because of that. So feel like the more pro cards that are handed out, it broadens that range between like new pros and what is actually competitive on a pro stage.
100%, 100%. And you're just taking those people that would be getting better in the NPC. I've had some girls that like don't enjoy the NPC. All they focus on is the getting that pro card. I want the pro card. And I'm like, man, you don't realize how fun it is to go win an overall, go to nationals, be top five. They only see that. And the ones that do enjoy that love it, love it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
I mean,
it's it's hard because I mean you do want that Northern Star guiding light goal, like getting a pro card. But I'm telling you, when I first started coaching, having a competitor in first call outs at nationals was
huge.
more valuable than having a pro card is now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
When
I
there's
mean,
75
I
girls in a class and you're in the top 6, top 8, that's more valuable than getting a pro card
Hmm.
when there's a class of 8.
Yeah.
I know. And it's funny because like I've seen girls before, they're like, oh, first call outs at nationals. And then I'll like go and look at NPC news online and I'm like, there was only one first call out. But like I do remember the days, like even Paul, you used the example of Lauren Miller. Like I remember I wasn't super into the sport quite yet, but I like remember kind of that's when I started to really watch things. And I remember watching that national show from afar that year and just like the amount of girls that were in that national show. I mean, there was that sea of 16 in every call out because there was like, you know,
278 competitors.
yeah, there's like
I
what,
mean,
which would be like 25, 30 plus girls in each class.
Yeah, there was 44 in her class.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then it's like that makes the victory of winning the pro card amongst that many athletes that much sweeter. Like that's just such an honor. And I mean, Lauren, not for nothing, did very well when she went on and, competed as a pro too.
I just pulled up the numbers just randomly from like 2019 universe and then this last year's universe or this past universe just went to. And every single class, it was 16, 16, 16, 16, 8, 9, 10 people past 16, which means you're at like, 26 people a class, and that's every
Yeah,
class.
it actually shows you, it'll say class A, and in parentheses, it'll say the number, how many were in that class. You can just look it up. That's how
Oh
I
yeah,
do
right. It is.
when I do
And,
my
and it,
stats. I just go, plus, plus, plus. That's how I do my stats.
and then literally this year, I mean, you had a couple classes with 6 or 7 girls.
Right,
And then I looked at my height class where I turned pro universe. There was 6 people and 7 people. And that's
right.
men's physique too. Like it's down everywhere,
Yeah. But
everywhere.
that,
I mean, we were having
I think
24.
like
At
we're,
Wonder with Americans, I had like 38 people in my class.
we're focused on bikini
Yeah.
because that's where I'm watching and I'm sitting there. Like as a coach, when you're like seeing a class come out, I'll tell you what the most odd thing is as a coach, because there's a rule in the NPC. If there's more than 8 competitors in the class, they do comparisons first,
Mhm.
then routines. If there's 8 or less, they do routines first because they don't need to compare them. So every now and then you'll see a class at nationals where the first competitor comes out and does their routine, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a small class. And like there was a class at Universe that had 7, and one at Junior Nationals that had
Mhm.
like 6. So like they just come out for their individuals, and you're like, oh wow. So you would have never seen it. But also I feel like that's when they need to go, oh, we only have 84 girls. Why are we having 8 high classes? Drop it down to 6,
Yep.
drop it down to 4. Um, have some rules for that, because I don't know. And maybe I'm wrong. Like listen, I'm
No.
not saying I'm infallible in this, but as a coach, I just love coaching people through the process of getting their pro card. And I've been the beneficiary. I've won over 100 pro cards, but like I'd love to have less pro cards, but more overall champions and more girls going pro and being ready to compete right away.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because I do think too it's hard. Like sometimes girls, they are going after that pro card and then it's like they get it. And I don't think people realize, I mean, Evan, you can obviously probably speak to this. I think some people think like once you get the pro card, your whole life is going to change, right? And it's not, I mean, it's you have the title, right? That's a huge honor, but it's like some people get that pro card and then they're like, oh my gosh, now what? And then they kind of just disappear, right? Because I think some people
Hmm.
think like your life is literally going to change. You're going to have all these sponsorships knocking at your door, and like your life is going to completely do a 180. And I mean, it's awesome. Pro card is awesome. I'm not diminishing the value of that, but I don't know. I just feel like if there are less pro cards, it just makes that, I don't know, just makes it a little bit sweeter.
I mean, it does. And, this is a conversation I actually had with like Mark Antony at backstage at Universe with that. And we were talking about like me competing and what my plans are with that. And I just told him, I was like, listen, I'm not under like the guys that I'm ever going to win Olympia. It's not going to happen. Right. Um, but I always thought I could win the overall at the national show. Right. So it's all about like what goals are and what motivates you. When you have something that you know is attainable, you're way more likely to put in the work to get
100%.
it.
100%.
It's
100%.
not attainable for me to win Olympia. It's not. It's not going to happen. I sure I can say it's going to, but I'm bullshitting myself. It's not going to happen. I don't have the genetics for it.
It's
I'm not young enough for it. It's not going to happen.
it's impossible to put in 100% effort when you know the goal is like let's say I was like, you know what? I want to be the best basketball player I can be. I
Mhm.
want to go play point guard for the Lakers. I can I can promise you that ain't happening. The genetics, all those things aren't there. So am I going to practice as hard as I need to practice? Am I going to
Nope.
commit the way I need to commit? When you know there's a potential for an outcome that you want, even if you don't win, that's way more fun of an experience than just
Absolutely is.
just prepping for like second call outs.
Right. Absolutely.
And my goals shift, right? Like my goals first call outs at a pro show. Then my goal
Right.
is, being in the mix and possibly winning. Like that,
Yeah.
those are way more realistic. But it's also too, even if I do, it's not gonna be nearly what it felt to be in there fighting out to win a pro card. It's not. It's not the same to it.
Yeah, you had a
Uh,
fun journey. I remember seeing you
I
at
loved it.
Nationals in 2018, and you just kept getting better and better. And then, you'd pop into an NPC show, get some feedback, go to Nationals, you'd miss it by a spot or two, and you just kept tweaking until you were
Yeah.
finally ready. Um, yeah, so I'll give we were talking about giving like shout outs to people on the podcast.
Hmm.
Yeah, let's do it.
So a former client of mine, Laura Lee Musan, um, with me, she missed her pro card multiple times by a spot. And she actually got her pro card this weekend after 20
God,
national shows.
good for her. That's awesome. I'd
Love that.
love to see that because you know what? So many people would have
She was
up
bawling.
after like given up after a couple national show runs. The 20, that's insane. I mean, wow, that's I have so much I'll be honest, I have so much more respect for athletes that have that type of journey. Not to say I don't have respect for athletes that don't, but like or that don't have that journey. But when you see an athlete like work that long and that hard and then they finally get it on like that 20th national show,
Mhm.
You
that's
want to know what's gut wrenching? So this is what's gut wrenching. So last year, she switched coaches, and we stayed good friends. And her new coach is awesome. And so she was at NPC Universe last year, and she got second again to my client.
uh,
I felt so bad. I was like, what are the odds that you guys are in the same age, the same height class? It was class 35B. And Stephanie ended up winning our pro card. And I was like, oh, I feel
Oh,
bad.
oh man. Yeah, but no, good for her. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love hearing stories like
Well, and to be fair, like I saw her at Universe and she didn't even get top call outs. She was like 12th or 14th. So the turnaround in 2 weeks, congrats. Like that's awesome.
that is so awesome. Yeah, I was actually when I FaceTimed my client who got her pro card when she was backstage after she got it and she ran into this girl and she was like they were hugging and she was like, "Oh my God, yeah, this." She ran into one of her friends who I guess kind of same scenario was also at Universe or either Junior Nationals and like didn't even place first call outs whatsoever and then at Masters Nationals got her pro card. So, it's always really cool to see.
Yep.
yeah. And I'll give a shout out to my client, Kimberly Balance. She was, funny enough, started off with just a transformation challenge client, and we worked
Yeah.
together for like 3 weeks. And she goes, I think I want to compete. And she competed a few years ago. I can't remember how long, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And we started working together, and she fell in love with it again. And we did fit model because it was the new division. I think she fit it beautifully. Her weight got a little away from us on show day, but it's all learning experiences. And um, she just missed winning her class in the 40 over, and now our goal is to go win, the 40 on overall. And I truly think we'll get that next show. And you know, honestly, like she has the physique to within a year or so maybe be able to fight it out and get a pro card in fit
Yeah.
model. She got the look, she's got the physique, she has all of that along with it. So big shout out to her along there. Because it's fun to see people fall in love with something they used to love, right? Fall in
Oh,
love all over again with it.
absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
and, and she got back, like she called me after the show and she's like, "Oh, I'm bikini." She's like, "Oh, I'm fit model, I ain't bikini." She was like, though these girls, And she thought she was bikini going into this, right? And we were gonna do this as a warm-up. Nope, nope, She's like, "I'm staying right here with it." And I think she'll be very successful at it.
Awesome. Yeah, I love hearing when people fall in love with the sport again. Like, maybe they competed years ago, thought it wasn't for them. And I think, that's one of the beauties of Fit Model too. I think some people are a little deterred by competing in bikini sometimes because of for some of us, like we have to push our bodies really,
Hmm.
really hard. And like there can be a little level of like fear of like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to do that again in a prep, right? Because you do end up compromising a lot when especially, those last few weeks riding into getting bikini lean, like you're really pushing yourself and like quality of life is it's struggling a little bit there. So I think, with this new fit model division, not to say prep is not hard because you still are going to have
Yeah.
to push yourself. But I think for some females, if they know they're not going to have to go to that level of like, zombie mode for weeks and weeks on end, it's a little bit more appealing to think like, oh my God, I can get on stage and actually enjoy this a little bit more and not compromise so many other things in my life.
I mean, and she told me straight up, she goes, "This is the most fun I've ever had at a show and the best I've ever felt." Like she loved the experience. Also, one thing now that I'm thinking about, this is a very good thing just to mention overall, is I think it was about 5 weeks out from the show. She said that some guy came up to the gym and told her, "You're not remotely lean enough. You're not even close to being able to compete. You're not fit model." And that got in her head so bad. And we had conversations about it. But it got in her head, right? It got in her head. And come to find out, we're probably a little bit almost too lean here at the show, along with that. And she laughed because she said that like the week of the show, the guy was like, "Never mind, you're good, you're good," and just don't listen to the noise around you, especially if these people have no idea what they're talking about, because it got in her head. It got in her head big time.
Oh yeah. Well, and you got to remember, people have an agenda. So sometimes people are trying to poach you. They want to coach you. That's always my favorite is like someone comes up to one of my clients in the gym and says like, "Man, you look pretty good. I could really get you on stage." And I'm like, "Well, then why did they notice you if you need something else?"
Yeah,
Um,
right.
people have an agenda. Just if somebody comes up to you in the gym, you know, it, they don't understand the sport unless they're at the shows. There's so few. There are literally a handful of people that are at the shows. That's it.
Hmm.
That's it.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I mean, especially, no one has any business commenting about if an athlete is fit model or not, if they have not gone to multiple shows to see fit model, because fit model being so new, like even all of
You
us,
can't
we're
tell.
still learning, we're
You
still all
can't tell.
learning about it, right?
I
Like we're,
can't even barely tell if someone's wellness backstage until they take their damn, you know,
yeah.
oath.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I like our, yeah, we want to, guys, we want to start doing more shout outs too on this podcast. So yeah, because
Yeah.
we appreciate everybody that listens. And I don't know about you guys, but I love Monday mornings getting tagged in all the Instagram stories, like of
Hmm.
people listening. That makes my morning.
Well, let's finish off the
Absolutely.
conversation with, because Evan, you brought up a very interesting point that the men's physique division is shrinking. And I think, because I've talked to a few of my friends that have done men's physique in the past, and they're just not interested anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think the same reasons with bikini, you're seeing a physique on social media that you're like, yeah, I don't even want to look like that. So why would I want to compete? When oddly enough, if you went to the shows, you'd realize like very few people look like that. No one's
Yeah.
walking on stage looking like Aaron Banks, right? Um, but yeah, at the national stage, you get basically guys that are bodybuilders in board shorts. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what that division has become. So, I mean, is it a foregone conclusion with the success of Fit Model? I mean, they added 114 competitors at Universe.
Yeah. I've heard rumors that it's going to happen. I don't know why they wouldn't. Mainly, and let's honestly just look at the numbers here. Guys got four divisions, right? We got men's physique, classic physique, I guess 212, and open bodybuilding. That's what we got. Women have a million divisions when
Yeah,
it comes to
but
that.
listen, so I have a bunch of athletes competing at USA's. So I was trying to time the schedule. So I went ahead and like looked up the the history of that show last year to see how many people were going to be there. Listen to these numbers. Okay, so because these are the order of the divisions. Women's bodybuilding, 8. Women's physique, 17. Figure, 26. And
I know.
wellness, 58. Like these numbers, like you can say there's all these divisions, but there's
It
more
is just not
girls
how
in
you know.
one class of bikini than there is in physique, figure, and wellness combined sometimes.
Uh,
So,
yeah. I
Yeah.
think what would be good is if, and I'm going to catch a lot of probably shit for this, but there's a bunch of divisions that are kind of in between with each other with it. And a lot of figure girls and a lot of physique girls are moving to wellness. And you have some wellness girls that are moving up to women's physique along with that, like Shanique Grant, right? She's coming into wellness. I know numerous girls that won their pro card in figure who are taking time to grow into wellness.
really?
Because the writing's kind of on the wall with it. There's as far as amateur ranks, like there's not a ton of girls
Oh
doing
no.
that.
There
Not
was
many
there
at
was a
all.
class, was it junior nationals with 2 girls and
Mhm.
class winners get a pro card. It's like, yeah.
Um, I,
Well, I
And
mean,
it's
the
I,
for
fact that Arnold got rid of figure,
yeah.
that was a statement.
Hmm.
yeah, I've been wondering for a while, and I've heard many people talk about this, like other coaches, about how I feel like, I mean, and I hate to say this too, like divisions, even like fitness, for females, I feel like we're gonna see those die out, and just, and I hate to say that because it's a really cool division, but the
The
number
best division to watch, that's for sure.
it is, but it's also like, I mean, how many people out there are can be a good fitness competitor, right? Like a Whitney Jones, where they can flip around and do all that stuff and also have that physique, right? Like it's a very rare breed,
Yeah.
and the numbers are just so low. And it's, unfortunately, when the numbers are so low, promoters can't. I mean,
Well, and I think a lot of people that look at the sport from the outside or that are, old heads like myself, they think like, oh, this is what the sport should be, but you have to pay attention to what people are telling you.
Yeah.
And when did this sport grow? Really, it grew when they introduced bikini and men's physique and the look that those people had, the Steve Cooks and the Janet Leigh, that was the look that like grew those divisions. So you could bring that back in a men's fitness
Yeah.
model like look. Um, and yeah, I think it would catch a lot of flack, but I guess what? I'd probably go do it because I'd fit right the
I,
fuck in.
I think if they do it, and here's the thing with the women's divisions, and I've thought a lot about this, is could they combine a division? Could they move divisions? But bikini figure is different than bikini and wellness. Women's physique is different than figure, and women's bodybuilding is different than women's physique. They are drastically different at
Yeah.
that, drastically different. So it'd be tough to kind of eliminate one. If one could go find a home somewhere else, but most figure girls aren't going to be able to move up to women's physique. They just aren't.
Well,
In most,
Natalia Coelho, who was like top three in figure, went up to physique and won the Olympia. So they
yeah,
could, and I'll tell you, most figure competitors are pushing the line with muscularity.
yeah, they really
Uh,
are. Yeah,
Sid was the kind of the person that held that division standard where it was for so many years. Now that she's gone, wait till you see what the Olympia winner looks like. They are going to be way bigger, I think.
they are. They are. And, and,
Uh,
and you know, I know the reason that women like figure is because it's still, they still wear heels, they still wear the things like that. But the division is not nearly with Sid gone, like there's not a ton of super feminine girls
well, she
doing
even got she
figure.
even got
They
flack
just, I'm
for
talking about
like,
muscularity, right? Like
yeah,
it's
but
it's so drastic.
when figure was with Aaron Stern and what was the blonde
Nicole
girl?
Wilkins.
When those two were like battling it out, that division was really growing. Like if you go back to nationals, I went back and looked. The shows were massive. And as soon as Nicole Wilkins switched gears,
Hmm.
pun intended,
Literally switched on
um,
the gear.
when she came out that year at the Olympia, where Aaron was the defending champ, and she just looked like a bodybuilder, like a linebacker. Like I was like, I remember watching that, being like, oh, that's not figure. And then she won. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize it at the time, but that's when that division kind of went one way and bikini went the other.
Hmm.
So I think with the men, you're seeing the same thing because guys, like, listen, I have no problem with steroids or, like, I think that's a part of the natural part of bodybuilding is where like we want to be bigger, stronger versions of ourselves, and that can help. But there is a point where like I don't think guys want to be dangerous with that shit.
Yeah, yeah. And my thing is with talking about like men's physique with it is if they do bring another division, they're gonna have to evolve something with men's physique. Because if not, it's just gonna be a smaller version of men's physique. Because like fit models different bikini. So what would they do with men's physique? Like if it's
It's
board
not
shorts,
it's
do
not
they need
though.
to be
It's
tighter? Do they need to be looser? Like there needs to be some
There would have to be a
differentiation.
weight cap per height, but I think it would still be board shorts. But the men's physique division has gotten to the shorter, tighter board shorts.
Yeah,
So
that's
they
what I'm
might they
thinking.
might just go back to the longer, looser board shorts.
That's what my thought was.
They
Yeah,
would
longer,
probably announce
looser.
they're not judging the legs. And, you know, just like with Fit Model, I think there is an element of beauty involved.
Mhm. I could absolutely see that being it. Because look, men's physique at a high level is I am not a small dude and I am not big enough for high pro men's physique. And I'm not a small guy. And it's
It's amazing,
so beyond beach body.
even with the weight caps, how big the pros are able to carry
Huge.
themselves. Uh,
Huge.
but we'll see. I mean, I think this year's Olympia for the men's physique division is shaping up. You've got 3 to 4 people that could really fight for it.
Hmm.
Um, I know we have a two-time defending champ, but I feel like last year he was not the favorite. I think a lot of people were like, should he have won? And so does he come back this year? But again, I think if they're looking at, okay, we added fit, like they're gonna at the end of the year go, okay, we added this division. What was the result? Oh, we saw a 22% increase in total NPC cards for the year. Oh, well, what happens if they add it to the men's division? Do we also see a 22% increase year over year? I think they would. I think you would get people that haven't competed in a few years that are still in the gym crushing it, and they just don't want to do that, what it takes to look like a men's physique guy at a national
Yeah.
level. And it would be exciting because they would have a fitness model division for men where, yeah, you want to look good, you want to look ripped, but you don't got to be 240 at 5'3" on stage
Yeah,
or whatever. Like that's obviously not real, but
I think it would bring in some more people. I do think it would bring it in, especially younger guys like 18 to 22 to 23. I think it'd bring in a lot of those, a lot of those. Men's physique numbers aren't that high across the board now either, right? They aren't.
yeah,
Those
I
are
haven't
kind of
paid attention,
dropping.
but when you said that, it made me think that
Yeah.
because I've been to some shows with big men's physique numbers, like in Texas. Texas
Yeah.
is like its own country right now as far as bodybuilding goes. The
Yeah,
men there show up, dude.
And
I
look, and again, I think they give out too many pro cards in men's physique. I think there's too many high classes in men's physique. Same thing. I don't think there
Yes.
needs to be so many high classes. I don't. Look, I'm 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", and they have it up to 6'2" for the division under. It's like 6'1", 6'2". It's like, what? Like,
yeah.
that doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, an inch difference, and they're going to give out 2 pro cards in that division?
No,
What are you
I know.
talking about?
Yeah, for all the divisions, I'm always looking at online. I'm like, why do they have this many classes, height classes? Even at some regional shows, I'm like, why do we have 7, 8 different height classes for open classes? And then, there's
3 inches. Go up 3 inches.
yeah, because there are some classes, I mean, I would say notoriously like class C, class D, those are always going to be a little bit bigger. And then it's like you do have those certain classes though that are just kind of like that I don't want to say odd height, but
Awkward. They
rare
are.
height. Yeah, and you may get like 1 or 2 girls in that class or guys. So it's like, why not condense them?
Well,
But
listen, as
Well,
a coach, you get very excited if you have somebody in class B or class F and G. Like you know those
mhm,
classes are small.
right,
mhm.
right. Yep.
They are, and when it comes to this too, with it with heights, what doesn't make any sense is why they don't. It doesn't go off like the U.S. standard on the average of people's heights. Why do they have like the average male is like 5'10"? So why do they have 3 or 4 classes above that?
Well,
Right?
so
So it just doesn't make any sense. They put
this
the
is how I
numbers
used to
where the
do it. So
people
I
are
used to
the
promote a
height.
show, Evan, and this is what I would do. I would not announce the classes until everyone checked in.
That makes sense.
When everyone checked in, I would take their heights. I would write down their heights. And then I would tell them on the day of the show, you're class A, you're class B. So I would literally put them on a wall and go class A, class B, class C. So there was an even number of competitors in all divisions.
Yes.
Not, oh, we have 18 guys that are 6 foot tall. So we have 18 guys in class H, but we only have 4 guys in class B. Like, so
I,
that's how
I,
I used to do it. I
yeah.
think the reason they did this was because it didn't matter in 2017, 2018. There
There's
was
so many
30
people.
to 50 girls in every class. It didn't
Mhm.
matter if class B only had 35. That's still huge.
I had 39 North Americans in one class one year. 39 people.
So I just don't think that they're adjusting their pro card numbers and their classes. I get the regional stuff because it used to be they were really tough on the qualifications. You had to be top 2 in your class. They kind of backed off that, and I'll be honest,
They don't
I
even
don't
check. They
I
don't
don't think they
check.
even check.
No, they don't
Yeah.
check.
Are we you said like they don't check at national shows if you're qualified. Yeah,
No.
I was reading something actually the other day and like in the fine print online because like for North Americans and it says and I'm assuming most national shows say this like if you win your pro card they will double check. But I mean I knew a girl a year ago not my client but she went to a national show and she wasn't nationally qualified and I'm like okay, I mean I wouldn't do that but eh. Yeah.
Look,
So
the old one of the old promoters for nationals. I got third in my class, and me and Erin were in the elevator, and she goes, "You look good." She goes, "Just email me. You can come do nationals."
hmm.
They don't they don't check. And what are they
Well, I
like?
mean, the national promoters, like so so Fit Model had 114 people sign up again with crossovers at Universe. That's $34,000 in that promoter's pocket. You don't think they're going to add Fit Model men and add another $34,000 next year?
I mean, I've been hearing this rumor about maybe it won't be called Fit Model Men, but like a new men's division. I've been hearing this for a while now. So I'm excited to
Yeah.
see. I definitely think it's gonna happen in like I think it'll be like the same time frame maybe as like kind of this past year for Fit Model where Tyler announces it in December. I mean, maybe a little bit earlier to give some people more time to prepare, but I could definitely see that happening.
I think they'll announce it right after Olympia this year.
I'm just gonna stay in shape. I'm gonna be the first ever
Yeah. Paul, would you do it, Paul?
men's. Yeah, because like just so you guys know, 2023, I dieted down and did a show in Miami and I won my class. But I look at the pictures of Masters Nationals and I go, as a natural athlete, I'm just not beating these guys. Like, the guys my age are old school bodybuilders. They're
Mhm.
jacked.
They're
And there's
all
always
on
a
they're
couple of
all
them.
on minimum TRT.
I
All of
would
them.
definitely get top five, maybe even second or third, but there's always a couple guys that I'm just like, yeah, I'm just not, and I'm not willing to spend $1,000 to go to a show and get on stage for 8 seconds to get there.
Right.
So now I'm waiting until maybe something like Ben Weider, where they have an over 50 natural. But if they announced a fun division where, the other thing about the fit model division is like, as a coach and as a competitor, I don't really have a lot of expectations. I'm just telling girls, let's go see, and it's fun. They already have their NPC card from bikini. They're paying less than $100 for a suit. They're
Yes.
going and just having fun again. And it's kind of makes bodybuilding enjoyable when you have a
Yeah.
reason to go get on stage that doesn't revolve around the only success measure is winning and losing.
Right.
I have any of my girls that are remotely in between it, I try to push them to do a fit model show before we do bikini. Because a lot of them, I know they would fit better in division. I know they would place better. And look, if you fit a division and you place better, you're probably going to end up liking it. Like you're probably going to end up liking it. And maybe they don't. But again, it's $100 for the suit,
Right.
right? You
It
get the show jitters out. Like all there's a lot of good benefits to this. A lot of good benefits to it. And then if you don't want to, guess what? You go do bikini later.
Yeah.
absolutely. You don't know unless you try it. Yeah.
Yep. There's
Yeah.
no reason not to. If you're remotely between divisions, and this is what I get across. If you just hate it, I get it. But don't let your ego be the determining factor because you're going to look back at this 3 years from now, or 2 years from now, or next year when those pros get on stage and you got someone like Janet Layu that comes over and you're going to be like, shit, you're going
Yeah.
to change your tune. Most people are going to immediately change their tune on it.
And I'll be 100% honest. That's been me so far this year. And again, going back to what I said at the beginning, like not that I disliked Fit Model at the beginning of the year, but I think I was kind of more just like, I like the look, I like the thought process behind it. But now I've seen girls turn pro and it's like, wow. And then
Mhm.
I think next year when we see current bikini pros dropping down, or not dropping down, that's not the right terminology, but going over to Fit Model, I think it's just going to be more appealing to
Well, and I've actually heard judges give the feedback to competitors that are pros at a pro show. You should do pro fit model when it comes out.
Really
Yeah.
interesting. That's really cool. I kind of regret that I didn't ask at Texas when I got feedback from Bill about like because normally I tell my clients if you're between divisions, when you're getting judges feedback, just ask like, ask the judge, do they think you would be better in fit model or bikini? And if they don't know, they're not going to say something, but I kind of regret not asking him, but
Well,
I
and
can always find him at Tampa if I want. So
mhm. That's uh,
I think it's pretty clear, Lexi. You would fit
I
yeah.
know, I know.
fit
Well, no,
model.
and we
For
discussed
the
before we started this that I'm gonna go that route. I'm gonna try out Fit Model because honestly, what's there to lose? And like I said, I love the look so far. Like I like what I'm seeing, and I think,
Yes.
and honestly, I've gotten to a point where I need to be realistic with like, okay, if I implement on my feedback from Texas, which is he said he just wants to see more of me, more density, more size. I mean, could I get that with years and years and years and years more of training? Absolutely, right? But like, I'm not at a point where I want to push drugs so hard just to get that size to do well at a national level. So I think I feel very at peace with like the idea of trying out Fit Model, and I'm really excited for it.
And look, this is what I'm trying to get across to people too, is I didn't like this division when it came out. But the more the more I see it, the more it progresses, the more high level winners I see, I'm becoming a fan of it. Like, and I think a lot of the reasons people don't is because they just see some pictures. And just like everything, you cannot judge things off pictures. You can't. You go there, you sit in that audience, and you look at some of these high level, especially at Universe with that. I loved it. I was like, I really, really like this. Like the girls look good. It's
Well,
just,
even
it's
the
a
girls that
good.
didn't have a lot of muscle, Evan, there was a couple girls that were like
Mhm.
really pretty with crazy shape. So there was a
Yeah.
good mixture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good, interesting mix of it. And look, the truth is, we can guess how you'll do. But we don't really know until you get out there, right? We don't know because another thing with this too, and I understand this is the judging at each shows are a little bit, or probably not the most consistent quite yet, but it's new. Okay, it's new. It's a newer division. Give it some time to shake itself out along with this. And number one, just compete and see if you like it, right? If you hate it, you don't have to do it. You don't have
Yeah.
to do it. But I'm telling everyone, a year from now, there's going to be a way different tune with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. It's already the momentum is swinging. I'm really curious about USA's because USA's I heard from another West Coast coach that he didn't have anybody doing USA's, and I was expecting him to have like 10 girls. So I'm like, huh. I'm wondering because last year there was a big decline at the second half of the year.
Mhm.
USA's was small and North Americans was real small in bikini.
Really
Oh,
interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm curious about North Americans because I feel like that's always notoriously a really big show, but I guess we shall see.
So last
I
year, well, so the year that Daraja won North Americans, it was the largest show in NPC history. There was like 250 in bikini, but the show itself was the largest. So I have the numbers here last year. Last year at North Americans, I had four girls turn pro or whatever it was. I had a bunch. But I just remember being like, where is everyone? Like when Open Bikini came out, so let me pull it up. Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. That is a shocking number. So the year Daraja won 223, the year before 228, the year before 269. Last year, 128.
Wow.
That's with crossovers because they do have the 35s and 40s. So like if that drops again into the 90s or the hundreds, whatever, they're going to start picking up their numbers again from Fit Model. Like I just told you, like if you're losing 100 competitors, that's $30,000 from that division gone. You pick that back up with Fit Model, they're going to pay attention. They're going to go, okay, let's see what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just a crazy decline um, over the
It
last
needs to
couple of years.
be it needs to be a sliding scale with this. It's like in school they used to grade on a bell curve, right? They need to do it with pro cards. Like it needs to be based off the number of athletes that come into the show. Um, it just needs to
Yeah,
be.
so I think this is what I did last year. This is the number of total bikini competitors, all national shows since 2017. 2017, 1,300. 2018, 1250. 2019, 1196. 2020, 990. 2021, 1,041. Popped back up. Then 2022, 906. 2023, 885. 2024, 742. So this year, are we going to be under 700? Looks like it.
I
We
think,
only had we only had 80 at junior nationals.
and I think part of it too is we've talked about this before, but like I do think that there is a little bit like at the decline in numbers. I think a little bit of it does have to do like with the economy and like
I
economic.
bet you can literally track the economy with that. That
Right, right.
curve probably follows the economies
Yeah.
because when people are happy financially, they start to, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you're happy with all your basic needs, you start to do that thing called self-actualization, and bodybuilding is a self-actualization thing. Nobody needs to bodybuild.
No.
But when you're like happy, that was when I did my first show. I was 32. I had a nice house. I had a good job. I was going to the gym every day. And some guy's like, dude, you're here every day. You should do a bodybuilding show. And I was like, huh, it's a good idea. And I went and watched the show and I did that show the next year. And so like I was at that point in my life where I was being consistent enough and I had the financials and I hired a coach and I went and away I went. And so like I think that's where a lot of people right now are like, well, if I can't afford a coach and I can't afford the suit and I can't afford the $1,000 and why even do a show? Yeah,
Yeah.
I
absolutely.
get it. I get it.
Yeah. Well, All right, I think that's a good place to end on.
Yeah, let's see if I can't imagine they're going to keep giving out 16 open pro cards at Universe when there's only 100 and something girls.
I mean, we've been saying that for a few years and they keep doing it.
Yeah. But again, if next year they're giving out, if they're going to start having Fit Model Pro shows, it's going to start digging into that bikini. I told you I had one promoter that said, I might switch to Fit Model Pro next year instead of bikini. And I was like, whoa, really? I hadn't heard that yet. So the promoters are already thinking about it too. And let me tell you something. That first Pro Fit Model show, that is going to be a coveted title. That is going to be a lot of attention.
Yep.
I'm guessing there's going to be 50 plus girls at that first show.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
Everybody that got their pro card this year, because again, you don't have to murder yourself. You can get a pro card and stay a few pounds from that weight. You don't have to gain.
Absolutely.
And let's be honest, guys. I mean, we look at these pro bikini shows, we look at the list, there can be 30 girls on a list. We know the 2 or 3 that got a shot to win.
Yeah.
No one else does. And they got a lot of those girls that are placing 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20th. No one likes to place like that. They're going to move divisions.
Yeah. Oh, I can promise you, I already have girls sending me successful pros that I've worked with, sending me pictures of them in a fit model pose. What do you think? I wish there was some pro shows right now. We'd be winning.
And here's the thing. You want to talk about sponsorships and things like that and a marketable look. This is it.
Yeah, that's
This
true.
is it.
Yeah,
This
not
is
for
it.
nothing, but I mean, it's to the point where sometimes when I'm at like an NPC seminar and they let one of the bikini pros speak, I go, that's not the right move.
Yeah.
Because when you sound like a man, it signals to all the competitors like, oh, that's what I got to do to be in that division.
That's what it signals.
Yeah.
That's what it signals. And it's
That's a personal choice, and I have no problems with it.
Oop.
But when I'm at a seminar with my 20-year-old competitor that's just there to learn about the sport, and she's like, "Why? What's that?" And I'm like, yeah, yep.
it's just it's are you willing to go that far? And I had a conversation with a bikini girl through Instagram the other day, and she was talking about, she tried fit model, didn't like it, went back to bikini, and we were talking about the anabolic side of it. She's like, look, I get it. She's like, a lot of girls don't want to go that hard with the drugs. I completely get it. She's like, because you can't unring that bell. You cannot dial that back. You can't unring it. So it's a big choice to make along with that, especially to do. Some girls don't have to do a lot. Most girls, yeah,
I think
leave it at
most
that.
girls, especially the top girls, they can get away with very minimal. But it's just like pro bodybuilding, Evan, right? Like the pro
Yeah.
bodybuilders, everybody thinks that the difference between Nick Walker and a regional guy is that Nick does that much more drugs. It's like, no, Nick actually has the genetics to support a little bit of drug use goes a long way.
Yes. Yeah. It's not what you think. It's really not. And people get pissed off at that. And I hear all these
Yeah.
experts, open guys take this grams of gear and this grams of gear and this gram. Yeah,
Dorian
some of
Yates
them
used
do.
to talk about his cycles
Some
openly,
of
and
them do.
everyone said it was bullcrap.
Yeah.
But now look at him. Now look at Dorian Yates without all his drugs. He looks like a normal dude.
I'll tell you the high level pros that I know, like if you talk Samson, Nick, stuff like that, they put their cycles out there. Everyone would say they're full of shit.
Right.
They say they're completely full of shit. You're lying. You are absolutely lying.
All right, so guys, leave your comments below. Do you think pulling back the pro cards would negatively impact the sport, or do you think it would positively impact the sport? That's my question.
Yeah, I like that.
And I still never got my pro card. I actually looked up the other day if I could actually like make one myself.
I mean, honestly, all you need to do is go to a show and just take one. They have stacks of them
I
backstage.
want my color though, Paul. I want my color.
Was it red that year?
No, I think I looked up. I think it was purple.
Purple. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just have to go to a show that has the purple ones, which like
They change them every year though. And you
maybe
just
I'll
wait till
steal
purple
one from
comes back.
USA's for you. I'll see what they
Sweet.
got.
Aw.
Thanks. I
I'm
think
gonna
they'll red
try. I'm
this
trying
year.
to see if I can get a couple legitimately, but maybe I'll grab you one.
After you'll have a report for us next week when we record.
Yeah, USA's. I have 3 in fit model, 3 in bikini, and let me tell you, I believe Valerie Reyes is a potential bikini superstar. When I tell you she's down 4 pounds, 4 pounds since uh, the last show, since the Republic overall. I'll send you her pictures, Lexi. She looks
Oh,
incredible.
I've seen her on, yeah, I've seen her on,
She posting it? Yeah.
and she's posting a lot on Instagram. Yeah, yeah.
She's just like, I would love to be like, yeah, I'm the best coach. I did this. Like, the girl has the tie-ins are in the right place. The waist looks the right. Like, her glute on the side profile looks alien-like. It looks like the huge bubble. From the back, she's got the upper division. Like, she's going to just stand out in a really positive way at this show. So I'm excited. And we've tested the peaking. She's not afraid to eat. So like, yeah, it's gonna be fun. And Kayla's coming back. And actually my other girl, Christy, looks insane too. So like bikini wise, I'm excited. I'm a little bummed because Nadia won't be there, but Nadia got her pro card, so she's not eligible.
Yeah, not a bad problem to have, but
I don't know.
yeah, but no, comment below. Let us know if you guys think that less pro cards would be a good idea, bad idea. And if you're listening to this on Monday morning, tag us on Instagram with little screenshots that you're listening. We love to see that.
Yeah, we want to come up with some kind of a shout out program. I don't know if people tag us on Instagram and say what their accomplishment was, and maybe we can start each show with like a congrats to so and so for this, congrats to so and so for that.
I love that. Yeah. If when in doubt, share your wins with us, share your thoughts, and you make it a shout out.
Yep. Awesome.
And
And
we
don't
also
forget August 9th, if
That's
you
what
haven't
I'm
signed up, Pro Physique
August
live
10th.
events.
August 10th. It's a
Yeah,
Sunday.
the 10th. You're right. It's Sunday.
It's a Sunday. Go to the Pro Physique website under events if you're interested in our free event in Fort Lauderdale. We're going to be doing a seminar, posing, live podcast Q&A. So, but the spots are limited. So if you're interested, and I think we also said this last week, because it is a free event, please, please, please do not sign up unless you are 100% sure you can make it, because we want to be able to give everybody a spot. So if you sign up and then you can't make it, like,
Just let us know. Let us know.
let us know so we can get
We'll
that
have
spot.
another one. We'll do another one. And this is dependent on you guys. If it goes well, we'll do a bunch of them. If it becomes a cluster, we're probably less likely.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening.